Hello, everybody. My name is Lukas Tancer, and on behalf of Android Academy, I will be your guide for today. We are going to talk about resources. I'm going to use one of the Google standard sample projects. So let's get started. So I'm going to select a navigation drawer activity from the Google sample projects. Let's go with defaults here. No special name or version or anything is necessary. And let's get started. I'm just going to quickly change the Java version as I am using a slightly different one for most of my projects. So let's go with 11 and let's give it a little bit of time. In the meantime, I'm just going to describe what I'm going to show you today. So in this folder structure, you see all of the resources. About layout, we already talked quite a lot during this week. For the menu, August mentioned it in the previous lesson, so I'm not going to mention it as well. And we are going to take into detail drawables and then values, themes, dimensions, strings, colors. So it's quite a lot. So let's get started. But first, let me just quickly check if my emulator is still working. And in the meantime, while it's starting, let's go and check the drawables first. So as you can see in this folder, there is a couple of those already. So let's check, for example, camera. You will see camera here, and you will see the description of that image, of the vector image here. In the application itself, hopefully it loads pretty quickly, you will see that inside this menu, the home application has the very same picture. We have also pictures for gallery, slideshows, and a couple of more. And personally, I think that home doesn't look like a camera. So what we can try right now is to import another drawable into our project. What I'm going to do now is use the Android Studio for importing such an asset. And we are going to use a vector graphics, and we are going to be just fine with those that are included in the Android Studio. So what you can see, the another icons are just loading. So I'm just going to quickly scroll through it and check. Yeah, it's plenty of those. So let's search for home. And this actually looks more like a home. So I'm just going to import it. I'm just going to hit next here. And as you can see in this folder structure, there is going to be the IC baseline home 24 XML created. That's exactly what I want. So we have this, and now we just need to check where this camera is used. So let's go and find usages. We can see that camera is used in the main drawer activity. That's something that you would probably expect. So I'm just going to quickly replace it for our home icon. As you can see on the side, it's already signaling me that the icon was changed. So I'm just going to quickly kill the app and start it again, so we can see the change live. And it's already loading, and voila, the home icon is here. So for the drawables, you don't have to use just the vector graphics, which is included in the Android Studio. You can import pretty much any vector graphic that you want, not even vector graphic, any graphic. And is going to be included in this folder, drawables. Another portion, which is kind of interesting for us and that we are going to talk about today, is about dimensions. So for dimensions, as you can already see, there is a couple of files which are named the same. And it's because if you have a different density of pixels, or if you have a different landscape, for example, you can use the different dimensions. So as you can see here, for example, here, horizontal activity margin. Now you have 16, but on some other file, okay, it's not specified here, but anyway, on some other file, you can use completely different number. For example, if you are using a landscape mode. Let me quickly check if something is going to happen when I change some of those dimensions. So let's convert from 16 to 30. Those dimensions are actually used. And let's quickly check that here. So it should be for the Android picture, which is here. So let me quickly restart the application and see if the margin changes. Margin should be slightly higher than it was before. So let's check. And as you can see, margin is indeed higher. And therefore, the email address, which was visible before, is not visible now because there is a bigger margin. So we are probably going to revert this change. So give me a second. I'm going to give it back. So we will see everything again. And in the meantime, I would like to continue with other resources. As you can see, margin is again 16 and everything is clearly visible. Another thing which is kind of interesting here is a list of colors that is used inside the application. Those colors are further used in themes. So as you can see here, we have two themes. One is light, second one is dark. Let me quickly switch to the project view so you will be able to see what's happening there and how it's structured. So here in the resources folder, we have standard values and there are themes. So that's the standard theme that we are viewing now. There is also a folder called values night, and it contains exactly the same file, just with the different colors. This color belongs to the dark mode. So what you can see here is everything is nice and light. And if I'm just going to change the settings, so let's open it now and search for the dark mode. Hopefully everything is going to work now. Search is somehow funky for me. Yes, here. So let's enable dark theme here for a second. And what you will immediately see in our application is that the theme changed. So now we are using this primary color, the purple 200. And as you can see, is much lighter than the previous one that we had on the screen, which is this one, purple 500. And this actually describes how colors are included in themes, and that themes are basically just switched based on the mode that you select on your phone. You can, of course, create many more themes, but you would have to handle switching between those on yourself. Another thing that I wanted to show you, which is, let's switch maybe back to the Android project again. You will see we have a lot of strings. Those strings are in English. Everything here is in English. And in case that we would like to translate some of those, and we would still like to maintain the option of having more than one language, that's actually the reason why we have all of those strings separated from the logic. So what we can do, and let me switch back to the project again. I'm going to create a new directory called values CS. So we are going to include Czech language into our values. We are going to take this file. So let's just create a copy and paste it here. The strings are still going to be used for most of the languages. They are going to be our default. But in case somebody selects a Czech language, we can have either all or just maybe a couple of those languages in this translated. So let me just delete all of those because I'm not going to translate everything. I'm just too lazy for that. Let's check that we are going to use some of the Czech names like that and reboot the application. What you should see now, it's still the English version, so nothing should change as now. So as you can see here, we still have a home, we still have a gallery, we still have a slideshow. But once I select the settings, so let me just quickly do that. And pick a Czech language. I already installed it previously, so it should be here. I'm just going to make it a primary language. So give it a second, it's going to translate everything. And now I'm just going to start my application again. So let me quickly go through this. And as you can see, most of the stuff is not translated, like this home fragment. But what you can see here is that we have translations for these three things that I translated here in this folder. So this is how I basically created a special translation for Czech language. I think this is pretty much everything that I wanted to show you today. I would like to thank everybody for attention and see you in our next lesson.